are now witnessing the arrival of service chiefs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing the arrival of the Second Secretary Vice President of the ruling party, ZANU-PF, Honorable KCD Mohadi. Hello. Hello. Testing 1 2. 1 2 testing. Ladies and gentlemen, announcing the arrival of His Excellency the President. President will be followed by a guard of honor. His Excellency the President is accompanied by Mnangagwa, the First Lady. His Excellency the President will now proceed for the guard of honor. Can we all rise for the national anthem? The African Union anthem by the Zimbabwe Republic Police.
Permission to carry on with excellence.
We can now take our seats. Your Excellency, taakuzowana munamato kubva kuna mudzidzi Stablon P. Magodi vamagodi. Pamusoroi, His Excellency President E.G. Mnangagwa, Pamusoroi, my Vice President, Pamusoroi, vakakokwa vese vanokudzika, tinotenda zvikuru nebasa guru rakabatwa na His Excellency nemakorokota edare ravo kuti svike pano muzuva ranhasi. Inyaya yakaoma zvikuru yakaitika kusvika pano. Iye zvino taunganidzwa nambuya venyika yeAfrica yose vakaurayiwa nevamwe vavo magamba akaurayiwa ari masoja makuru enyika kusurungura nyika yeAfrica. Tinovatenda zvikuru President nedare ravo kugadzira chiitiko chiri pano chataunganira nhasi. Zvinhu zvakaoma kwazvo kuti zvigadzirwe zvakanaka kudai. Tinovatenda tisati taita munamato. Tinokumbira zvikuru kuti vanhu vese vari pano varemekedze basa guru rakabatwa nenyika yeZimbabwe. Iye zvino tava kunamata. Mwari Baba muri kumusoro kudenga, tinokutendai zvikuru nebasa guru rakatora nguva richida kuitika richirema. Izvino rasvika zuva racho taunganidzwa pano. Tokumbira mwana waMwari, dai zvakatadzwa kufa kwakaita vana mbuya nevamwe vavo vachiurayirwa zvenyika. Tinokumbira mwana waMwari kuti mutibatsirewo. Rufu runorwadza, asi tinokumbira mwana waMwari kuti saJesu akaurayiwa akadzokera kunyika kubatsira nyika. Iye zvino tinokumbirawo zvakare kuti chiitiko chakadai nyika yeAfrica isurungurwe mumatambudziko. Dambudziko renyika yeAfrica nderokuti upfumi huri kushayika, huri pedyo pedyo muvhu. Tokumbirawo zvakare kuti mari ibude muvhu iwanike, zvicherwa zvese zviwane, oiri iwanike. Tinokumbira mwana waMwari kuti iye zvinezvi pane pachicherwa goridhe unoona pakagarirwa naNyambobo. Hatizive kuti ana Nyambobo ndiwo magadhi here vanochengeta goridhe. Dai matibvisirawo nyoka idzodzi vanhu vachere mari vararame. Tokumbira zvakare pakuitika kwaitika basa riri pano iri, iye gore rinei mvura yakanaya. Tokumbirawo zvakare kuti mvura inaye zvachose vanhu veAfrica vararame. Tinokumbira zvakare dambudziko riri munyika pasi rose rechirwere chekorona kuti chipere zvachose, Africa irarame. Saka kumazuva mashoma aya tinozvitenda zvikuru tichiti haleluya, amen. Tinotenda vamudzidzi Magodi. Ngatiroye maoko zvekare. It is now time for a poem on Mbuya Nehanda by Tatenda Chinoda.
1, 2. Mashurai mutungamiriri wenyika yedu yeZimbabwe, baba vaMnangagwa namai Mnangagwa. Mashurai mutevedzeri wemutungamiriri wenyika yedu yeZimbabwe, baba vaChiwenga. Mashurai zvoto zvose nemazera azvo zvaungana pano. Einoi imwe nzira yekunamata, ounoi munamato Nehanda Nyagasikana remix. Nehanda Nyagasikana kuchakuzova riniko isu tingotambura mweya unoera kuchakuzova riniko isu tingogwadziwa ha hingataneta wani nekumwa misodzi ko toshirira kusvika riniko pasi pese pazere rufuse pfuma yenyika vakagovana neukama hwavo hwepfumojena nhasi vodya mafuta enyika isu tichidya nhoko dzezironda nhasi vodya vokora sehochi isu tondoroka kunge imbwa ine gwembe Nehanda Nyagasikana mapfupa avo akaziva gona rechimurenga rakakwadza muvengi uyo akanga apamba nyika yemadzibaba mwena akauya ine ukuriri akazosvite mambo munyika yemopo ndokuramba nebvute zvinonzira ine rake iro akanga auya nariri mungarava vana mapondera chingaire kaguvi newe Nehanda Nyagasikana wakazosiya yambiro kuvana inodudzira kuti sei mvura inopisa ichidzima moto hongo taakuziva izvezvi kuti kuguta kweshoko makudo afari bva kusakukuridza kwejongwe hakutadzisi zuva kubuda taakutozvizivawo kuti imwi vadyi venhaka sadza rinofamba nderine murivo rekutemura itimbe tindike mugoziva kuti mvura yemufuku haimutsi mudzimu ibvai maziva kuti anozunza mutondo ndiye unononga mandere kungwara hako tsuro magenga asi akakwiri mumuti musare unedza chiri muhapwa nekuda kuombera Nehanda Nyagasikana nhasi pana ibviravira pano pana Julius naSamora ko hatingafungi tose zvimwe chete hatingavoni tose zvimwe chete asi tinorya sadza rimwe chete imwe utungamiriri hwedu hondo yazara ihondo yenjere Nehanda Nyagasikana akafa achitaura chikuru hakusi kufema chikuru kufunga kuzvitonga kuzere kunoda njere haikona upwere kuramba zvizere hodena zvirere Nehanda Nyagasikana wakafa achitaura Zimbabwe, be careful when a naked man offers you a shirt. Better darkness of heaven than light of hell. Zimbabwe, refuse plastic smiles and crocodile tears. Zimbabwe, refuse the promise of supper when they gave you no lunch. Zimbabwe, refuse the promise of shoes when they cut your feet. Zimbabwe, refuse the promise of oxygen when you can't breathe. Nehanda Nyagasikana, oxygen is my daughter, nobody knows. And then,
another round of applause. Thank you very much, Tatenda Shinoda, for that poem. Your Excellency, ndibvumirewo kuti ndidane madzimambo vakatungamirirwa namambo sose kuti vatipewo munamato wemadzimambo. Ndinotenda.
Takuita munamato wedu wepasi tinokumbira kuti isu tikauchira madzimai voisamupururu tikauchira zvakare madzimai voisamupururu tozoti kwekupedzisira zvakare tichiuchira madzimai voitawo kwekupedzisira
mpururu tatende.
Mnangagwa, nasi pano taunganidzwa nebasa guru rekuombera Mbuya Nehanda gamba rechimurenga vakadiwa naTenzi mweya mutsvene unoyera kubva tichibva Tanganyika tichifamba mativi mana. Rwendo rwatakafamba rwakafambiwa nemi rwakakura zvakanyanya. Zvino tinozvitenda kuti nhasi uno tichipano kutarisira hondo yakarwiwa yakarwiwa masvingo, ikarwiwa Manicaland, ikarwiwa Mashonaland, ikarwiwa Midlands, ikarwiwa kwese kwakatenderedza nyika ino. Hondo huru kwazvo yakarwiwa yaive kuda ivhu redu nezviwanikwa zvedu nekuchengetedza tsika dzedu, nokuti vakauya vachitipamba vakaseenzesa shoko reBhaibheri kuti vapambe nyika ino yechipikirwa. Apo mhuri yenyu Shumba Murambwi tinokutendai zvikuru. Pano ndakutaura ndiri Mambo Svosve muzukuru Fiwa Rambuya, ndinavo pano gono guru remagono ose muturikwa Muyera Moyo. Ndinaye pano mwana wavo muzukuru mukuru iye Madyira Panze Chitova. Tinavo nokuti ndiwo nebasa rekuomberera nyika kuti nyika ive inofamba zvakanaka kubvira pasi chigare. Evo Madyira Panze, varidzi venzwizi, vachengeti vemapako, vachengeti vezvinoyera, gono muchiomberwa kuti nyika irarame zvakanaka, zviri pasi zvibude. Zvino Madyira Panze tinoti chiomberai musvitse kuna Mbuya mumweya mutsvene unoyera. Ndimi munotungamirira hova dzepasi nenzwizi mativi mana enyika. Ndinotenda, taurai Madyira Panze.
Aiwa muchepere Mbuya, ndiro rataurwa nemuzukuru wenyu uyu Soko uyu, rakaitwa naiye muzukuru wenyu mutungamiriri wenyika, ngirozi yenyika, tingati ingirozi Afrika irozi. Nokuti nhasi uno raitwa iyi mayeukwa zvisina kumboitika, zvatishamisawo isu madzishe tese. Tarisai muone muzukuru wenyu pamwe chete namambokadzi anova ndiye mukaranga waiwo muzukuru wenyu veShumba vari kutungamirira nyika. Vari kushingaira kuisa kuti chivanhu chidzokere pakare, nokuti vachena aiwa ngazvichitonhora kaizvi. kuivhuma kataura mukati mapfupa chamukangu vana vangu chokwadi akamuka mabhuna akaenda nhasi unoka taakuda kuti zvimwe izvi zvese izvi aiwa mwana wenyu chumupai njere vakabatana naye mutevedzeri wacho neharanga dzavo mochivachengeta muchisuma kuna ivo baba venyu ndiye unovaziva masungiro amunoita kuti hei mwana uyo mozosumano zvakare naivo vana vakuru vakarwa hondo saivo ndo vanatongwa nevatevedzeri vanhu vamwe wavo kuti aiwa ndoraitwa kaizvo tarisaimuone payeukiwapo mufananidzo wangu waisiwa uyo zvochina tinotenda mwana wenyu muzukuru wenyu tarisaimuone kuguta kudoita vanhu muminda isimba renyu ramakapa iye muzukuru wenyu pamwe nomutevedzeri wake kuti zviitike zvese izvi aiwa tiri kuguta madzishe ese ari kutenda nemidzimu yenyika iri kutenda ngazvirambe zvakadaro muchembere tichengete isu madzishewo tova nenjere yokuuyisa kudzorera chivanhu pakare nokudzidzisa vana kurima kuti Zimbabwe maturo afashukire mazviita muchembere.
Toombera katatu tichiombera kudaro tinoti zvakanaka tenzi wematenzi mweya mutsvene mbuya muzukuru wenyu wataura zvive zvakanaka pasingarinyorove vana venyu vauya patsime renyu asi hakuna chinodzima chinokunda mvura kana kudya kana zvose zvinobva pasi zvinoda mvura zvinofangisheni ngadzive dzinosunungurwa tinokumbira kuburitsa zviri pasi nokuti vazukuru venyu vayeuka tsime renyu ramakarova netsvimbo rikabuda pakave nemvura saka tinoti vakuratidzai patsime renyu changamire mutekwa-tekwa mbuya chisakayamwa chisina munhu chisina kubva kune munhu chakabva kuna musiki tinokutendai simba guru remweya mutsvene vazukuru venyu madzimambo tiri pano tichitungamirirwa nevarwi vehondo tichitungamirirwa naivo vana venyu vamakasarudza makataura kare mukati iye wandinenge ndanemba ndiye uchatungamirira rwendo rwevana Afrika rwechipiri ndiye kamunangarwa makatitaurira kuti ndiye wamakasarura mukada mukatitaurira kuti isi madzimambo tinofanira kuisa uso pasi pamberi pake nokuti imi ndiye makamusarura tinotenda muchembere wepasi mudya wenyu ngausunge kuvapa pfungwa dzakakwana kutungamirira nokubatana tinokumbira izvozvo kuti kubatana kukuru tenzi wavatenzi mambo wemadzimambo vazukuru venyu tinoombera tichipetera kuti vana muvachengete hondo yakarwiwa yese yaive yekuti imi makanga matanga kurwa hondo nanhasi makaipedzesa nekuti mapfupa enyu makati mapfupa angu achamuka hewa akamuka vana venyu varipo rudzi rwenyu rwamakada shumba murambwe tinotenda nekuti maiti makamuri kana madzimambo taombera maiti makamuri ataura kuti kudii zvino makamuri ndiye watiri kutarisa ari kutungamirira nyika mhuri yamakamuri ndinotenda shumba murambwe nasoko ndinokutendai Mwari akuitire zvakanaka mudzimu yedu inoera mbuya wagokuchengetai usiku nemasikati zvakaipa zvigobva pamberi penyu muzita redu tinokutendai Mwari wemadzinza shumba gono tinokutaurirai gono nemi chitova ngatiomberei katatu kekuvhara munamato tibatire atiomberei zvedu atiomberei Aiwa tinotenda. Ani? Kuti? All right.
Tatenda ini yakutaura panapa chiefs namusanga dhinga tatenda kusangana panapa nyika matimana nyika yese tiri kutenda zvikuru baba mbuya nehanda musatiregereri muticheukei pese pavanenge vapesana pindirai kuita zvinhu zvese zvinake tatenda mashoko akawanda ataura nevamwe vangu tatenda. Tinotenda mambo Svosve nevamwe venyu nemuteuro watisvitsa padyo nemusiki. Ngatiroye maoko zvekare. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, the First Lady, Amai Auxilia Mnangagwa, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, General Retired Dr. C.G.D.N. Chiwenga, the Second Secretary and Vice President of the ruling party ZANU-PF, Honorable KCD Mohadi, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable James Denda, the President of the Senate, Honorable Chinomona, the Acting Chief Justice, Justice A. Gwaunza, the Minister of Defense and War Veteran Affairs, and the National Chairman of the ruling party ZANU-PF, Honorable OCZ Muchinguri Kashiri. Other ZANU-PF Politburo members here present, leaders of other political parties, the Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable K. Kazembe, the Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Honorable J.D. Moyo, other ministers here present, Madzimambo Edu Anoremekedzwa Muripano, the Chief Secretary to the Office of the President and Cabinet, Dr. M.J.M. Sibanda, Deputy Chief Secretaries here present, fellow Permanent Secretaries, Service Chiefs, members of the Diplomatic Corps, senior government officials here present, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aaron Nepera. I am the Permanent Secretary for Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage. I am your Master of Ceremony on this occasion, where we are witnessing the unveiling of the Nehanda monument by His Excellency the President, Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa. The occasion is in honor of our national heroine, during the Liberation War, both during the first and second Chimurenga. It is indeed an important day for Zimbabwe, which is coinciding with our celebrations for the Africa Day, Africa Unity Day. To progress with our program, Your Excellency, allow me to call upon the Minister of State for Harare Metropolitan Province and Devolution, Honorable Engineer O. Shidao, to give us his remarks. Honorable Minister, sir.
Okay. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Amai Auxilia Mnangagwa, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Second Secretary of the ruling ZANU-PF, retired Dr. C.G.D.N. Chiwenga, the Second Secretary and Vice President of the ruling ZANU-PF party, Comrade K.C.D. Mohadi, the National Chairperson and Minister of Defense and War Veterans Affairs, Comrade O.C. Z. Muchinguri Kashiri, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable J.M. Denda, the President of the Senate, Honorable M. Chinomona, the Acting Chief Justice, Honorable A. Gwaunza, the ZANU-PF political members and leaders of other political parties here present, the Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable K. Kazende, the Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Comrade July Moyo, ministers here present, Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Dr. M.J.M. Sbanda, Deputy Chief Secretaries, Permanent Secretaries, Service Chiefs, traditional leaders, members of the Diplomatic Corps, senior government officials here present, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you all to this occasion for the unveiling of the Mbuya Nehanda National Monument by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. As I welcome you, I might not fully understand the implications that this occasion has on the nation and in my province. What I am, however, aware of is that this national monument in front of us and its significance, once explained, is a game changer. This is both in terms of architectural history of this province as well as historical significance that combines aspirations of our people from pre-colonial times to today. On behalf of the people of this province, I extend this welcome with deep appreciation and promise that this monument will be kept intact for future generations. May I also extend a special welcome to my colleague ministers of state, our chiefs, clergymen, young people, the academia, parliamentarians, artists, fighters of the liberation struggle, mayors, town clerks, secretaries, CEOs of rural district councils, and all Hararians here present, those watching this auspicious occasion, event from the comfort of their homes, I am truly humbled by your presence and welcome you all to this historic occasion. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for those remarks. Maoko Shekare. Your Excellency, we will now watch a short video that explains how this project came about.
Talent when you have got local talent. The best that you can do is to honor your own, other than to import foreign talent when you have got local talent. My name is Tapioma Juri. I'm the business manager for Zimbabwe TRG and also the manager for the Mbuya Nehanda site. I'm 35 years old. As you can see, this is a youth-driven thing. As you can see, this is my QS here. Her name is Yemrai Shakawapano. She's the project QS for this project. The design team who came up with the drawings to the contractor
who's doing the building to the site engineer, we are all young Zimbabwean youths, and working together like that, it was amazing because the synergies that we had were amazing. We also feel that the product that we came up with is youth-driven, and we as a youth, we are also there to say that we can do it as Zimbabwean youth. We can do it. We are able to do it ourselves, and it really inspires us that we can build anything and can build the nation as youth. Harare is a very busy city, so I didn't want to do anything that disturbs the traffic flow. Most times when you're driving back home, you know the amount of traffic that we have in town, and putting the statue in the intersection would have created a lot of traffic around the statue. So my inspiration was to zero disturbance to the natural flow of traffic, zero disturbance to what is happening around the site.
My name is Mnangagwa, and I'm the head of new business, and as the project manager at the Mbuya Nehanda site, I represent London Steel. We are one of the main subcontractors who are doing the steelworks on site. It's always great to get support from government on such projects. Projects like this are what industry, and especially construction, look for, because it gives us work, which also helps us to employ more people. For a company like us, we essentially had close to 20 people on site, and government has also given us quite a bit of support in terms of helping grow our businesses to not only this type of project, but more construction sites. My hope is that the Zimbabweans will be proud of the work we have done, not only being Zimbabwean, but also being a youth. This is part of history, and it's good to be part of history, and it's good to be part of history that is done by Zimbabweans.
I'm the project engineer for the site. I was responsible for the construction of this site for this year. So basically, it was a kind of a structural engineering marvel. So it's a steel structure that is sitting on reinforced concrete. That is also sitting on power foundations. So basically, the bridge is spanning 59 meters, spanning across Julius Nyerere, and the place span across Samora Machel is 47 meters, and the total length along Julius Nyerere is 99 meters on the side of the bridge.
My name is Lydia Gubwe. I'm a student at NAST studying architecture. Happy that this is not the last project that celebrates our heroes and our icons, as we are going to have 4 more projects that celebrate our heroes and our icons, and I'm hoping to be part of the project.
My name is Trevor Mtasa. I work for City of Harare. We had a crew of 52 workers, but now towards the end I now have something like 400 workers now. Anyway, 80% of our workers are women, so you'll find a gang will be comprising like 75% of women and 25% male.
My name is Michael Zimati. I am the Director of Quantity Surveying Services in the Ministry of Local Government and the Public Works. So I think people will be surprised to see government can do this work in a short time, and we've managed to do it. My name is Emmanuel Chimenda. I'm the Project Director for ESA Tubes and Towers. The purpose of my progress on this project mainly was to supply and fabricate and galvanize the flooring, which is our material that is used for the walkways and the podium of this footprint.
My name is Godfrey Max Mabundwi. I'm an engineer and the founder of Kynotech Engineering and Equipment. As the one who assembled it as an engineer, I asked them, you guys, what's the reason of importing this machine? While it's we local guys can make a machine with the specs that you want. It's supposed to take 12 hours to make one complete level check. The frame slid the other side when it was anchored, and the supporter went off. Then the machine came off and hit me on the leg. Yeah, that's part of our job. We came across accident, but I know we have to work. You see, we have to work. That's part of us. That's part of our job. It's unfortunate that is just happened, but we didn't like that to happen. Yes, I'm here. I'm working.
Ndinonzi Tino ndaishanda panapa ndichigadzira National Monument yaMbuya Nehanda. Ndautenda hurumende nemukana unokosha wekupa vechidiki sesu mukana wekushokesa matalents edu nezvatinokwanisa kuita kusimudzira nyika ino. So we're working on granite. Taigadzira magranite works. Tombo riri panapa is a resemblance of the great Zimbabwe stone. Kunobva zita renyika reZimbabwe, dzimba dzemabwe. So this wall was built in a manner inoresembla our great Zimbabwe wall, and takaisa this black to showcase the power of the black majority. Kuti munhu mutema ari kuita zvinezvi, inyika yavatema iri kuita zvinezvi. Saka this is a cultural feel. We are Africans and tichinotora the great architectural work yaitwa paGreat Zimbabwe with our forefathers. And if we keep looking back at these things, I think it's not necessary kuti tigone kuona kuti we are capable of doing great things. Just like our forefathers, we are capable also of building our own great Zimbabwe.
Mbuya Nehanda, she was a great fighter. She has been commemorated, through roads here. And for us to have her being commemorated, having a statue there, I would say it's something that we really now wanted as Zimbabweans, to celebrate the people that helped us for the freedom that we now have, for what we now believe in ourselves as Zimbabweans. It was through the Mbuya Nehanda. So it's something that I feel very excited to be part of this project, to be one of the leaders of this project, and also looking at my age, it's something that
we were meant to have a short video.
The other youth
somehow it's getting a bit long, and we are running out of time. Could we possibly stop it? Thank you. Your Excellency, allow me to invite the Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable K. Kazembe, to give his remarks, and to thereafter invite Honorable Kashiri, Mchinguri Kashiri, to also come to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, the Master of Ceremonies. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, and the First Lady, Amai Auxilia Mnangagwa, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Minister of Health and Child Care, General Retired Dr. C.G. D.N. Chiwenga, the Vice President and Second Secretary of the ruling party, ZANU-PF, Colonel Retired Comrade K.C.D. Mohadi, the Minister of Defense and War Veterans Affairs and National Chairman of the ruling party, ZANU-PF, Comrade O.C.Z. Mchinguri Kashiri, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Advocate Jacob Mdenda, represented by the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Tsitsi Gezi, the President of the Senate, Honorable M. Shinomona, represented by the Deputy President of the Senate, General Nyambuya, the Chief Justice, ZANU-PF Politburo members here present, leaders of other political parties here present, the Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution for the Harare Metropolitan Province, Senator Engineer Oliver Chidau, the Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Honorable Julai Moyo, the Minister of Transport and Infrastructure Development, Honorable Felix T. Mona, and other ministers here present. Veterans of the liberation struggle, Mazimambo Edu, the Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Dr. M.J.M. Sibanda, Deputy Chief Secretaries, Permanent Secretaries, Service Chiefs, members of the Diplomatic Corps, senior government officials here present, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. Your Excellency, we are enthralled to have you grace this momentous occasion where my ministry is delivering on the mandate that you gave us. You gave us, Your Excellency, among others, the responsibility of promoting, conserving and preserving our national heritage for prosperity. Today we gather here for the unveiling of a very important monument in the history of our great nation. We gather here, Your Excellency, to connect ourselves to our history. And we are doing so fully aware of the massive potential and potency of heritage preservation in fostering national unity, social cohesion, and ensuring the economic emancipation of our people, for which our heroes and heroines of the first and second Chimurenga sacrificed their own lives. We would thus risk the condemnation by future generations if we failed to establish monuments as important as the one for which we are gathered here today. This monument, Your Excellency, which connects us to our history, was gazetted according to Section 20 of the National Museums and Monuments Act, Chapter 25(11), through the General Notice 981 of 2021. Your Excellency, when you directed us to work on this project, we worked tirelessly with colleague ministries, the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works, the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure Development, as well as other stakeholders. Your Excellency, you gave us a very special supervisor. It was not work as a business as usual, Your Excellency. I'm sure you have witnessed it on the video. Chaivesh Bata Bata. It was because of the work ethics of the supervisor that you gave. And I won't go into details, Your Excellency. The background of the supervisor speaks it all. It says it all. We were under the supervision of the Vice President, General Retired Dr. C.D.G. Chiwenga. Your Excellency, works to further embellish the national monument will continue after its unveiling today. These will include, among other things, the installation of illustrative text panels on the story of Mbuya Nehanda, in particular, and the first Chimurenga in general, to help visitors get an appreciation of the story of our liberation struggle. The spirit of Mbuya Nehanda represents both our past experiences, struggles, successes. Certainly, Your Excellency, remains are yet to be accounted for so that proper interment consistent with our cultural norms and values can be accorded. However, Your Excellency, I'm happy to advise that our efforts to ensure that the remains are returned to the country are in progress. Your Excellency, my ministry is not under any illusion that as we work towards the attainment of Vision 2030, our national monuments and other forms of cultural heritage play a crucial role as arenas of national unity and as iconic representations and reminders of our aspirations as a people. Your Excellency, may I conclude by advising that this historically important occasion we are witnessing today is also a critical milestone in the implementation of the Cultural Heritage Program my ministry has embarked on under the NDS-1 2021-2025. I thank you. Without further ado, Your Excellency, allow me to invite the Minister of Defense and War Veterans Affairs, who is also our national chairman of the ruling party ZANU-PF, Comrade OCZ Muchinguri Kashiri to invite the Honorable Vice President. Am I Muchinguri, Madam?
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Forces, the First Lady of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Amai Auxilia Mnangagwa, Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Minister of Health and Child Care, Retired General Dr. C.G.D.N. Chiwenga, the Second Secretary and Vice President of the ruling party, ZANU-PF, Comrade K.C.D. Mohadi, the Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution for Harare Metropolitan Province, Honorable O. Chidao, the Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable K. Kazembe, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Mudenda, represented by the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Gezi, the President of the Senate, represented by Honorable Nyambuya, Honorable Ministers here present, our revered chiefs here present. I want also to recognize the presence of Minister of Foreign Affairs of South Africa, Dr. Panda. All protocol observed. Your Excellency, the Constitution of Zimbabwe, in its preamble, clearly recognized and extolled the brave men and women who sacrificed their lives during the Chimurenga, Umvekela, and National Liberation Struggle. Section 23 of the same Constitution directed all state and all institutions and agencies of government at every level to accord due respect, honor, and recognition to veterans of the liberation struggle. Today, Your Excellency, under the Second Republic and your visionary leadership, you have made history by honoring our illustrious daughter of the soil, our heroine and icon, Mbuya Nehanda, whose legacy continues to guide and inspire us. Her spirit lives on through songs, dance, and drama. The unveiling of Mbuya Nehanda's monument today speaks volumes to the significant role and also the significance you place in the role she played during the struggle. We all stand proud that you are invigorating our dignity. The people and women of Zimbabwe forever cherish our icon, her bravery, supreme sacrifice, and immense contribution to the struggle. At this juncture, Your Excellency, allow me to introduce Honorable Vice President Chiwenga, a revolutionary cadre with renowned contribution to the independence of this country, who has a glittering career in the military and exemplary leadership in government. During the liberation struggle, he held key positions that included being Commissar, Provincial Commander, and member of the High Command. At independence, he was attested into the Zimbabwe National Army with the rank of Brigadier General from 1994 to 2003. He was Commander, Zimbabwe National Army, a Commander, Zimbabwe Defense Forces, and as part of the command element, he helped to build a loyal, formidable, and versatile defense force. Upon his retirement from the helm of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, he was appointed Vice President in 2017. In August 20, he was bestowed with yet another responsibility to serve as the Minister of Health and Child Care. With these few remarks, I'm honored to invite the Vice President and Minister of Health and Child Care, retired General Dr. Constantine Gouveia Dominic Nyikadzino Chiwenga. Honorable Vice President, sir.
The Director of Ceremonies, Secretary Aaron Nepera, Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Amai Auxilia Mnangagwa, Vice President and Second Secretary of ZANU-PF, Colonel Retired Comrade KCD Mohadi, Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Harare Metropolitan Province, Honorable Engineer Oliver Chidau, Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Advocate Jacob Francis Mdenda, represented by Honorable Chisigezi, President of the Senate, Honorable Mabo Chinomona, represented by Lieutenant General, Honorable Lieutenant General Retired Mike Nyambuya, Chief Justice of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Minister of Defense and War Veterans Affairs and Chairman of the ruling party, Honorable OCZ Mchinguri Kashiri, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Republic of South Africa, Honorable Dr. J.N.M. Pando, Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable K. Kazembe, Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Honorable July Moyo. Honorable Ministers here present, leaders of the opposition parties here present, Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Dr. Mishek Sibanda, Chairman of the Civil Service Commission, Dr. Vincent Ungwe, Deputy Chief Secretaries here present, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Honorable Pollard leaders here present, Honorable members of the House of Assembly here present, Commander Zimbabwe Defense Forces, General Philip Valerio Sibanda, Service Chiefs, Madzimambo Edu, senior government officials, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. It is indeed my great pleasure and honor to stand before you at this momentous occasion, the official unveiling of Mbuya Nehanda statue and national monument. My task today may be simple, but one that I take with great humility and respect. That is to introduce our guest of honor. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the guest of honor is an astute leader who took the bold decision to enrich our national heritage by, among other noble initiatives, honoring our national icons of the First and Second Chimurenga Liberation Wars, who sacrificed their lives for Zimbabwe's freedom. The statue of Mbuya Nehanda Nyakasikana
which the guest of honor will unveil today, is historic and inspirational for the future generations who should be truly proud and patriotic Zimbabweans. Ladies and gentlemen, the inspiration and decision to honor Zimbabwe's traditional and revolutionary icons to be part and parcel of the country's national heritage and monuments is a noble undertaking. It is an embodiment of the continuation of sustaining and consolidating the country's hard-won freedom, democracy, self-determination, sovereignty, and liberty to chart our own destiny. That insightful resolve has inter alia been accompanied by the documentation of Zimbabwe's history, in which some of our heroes and heroines who paid the ultimate sacrifice are celebrated. There is no doubt that our revered heroes and heroines are an embodiment of Pan-Africanism as symbolized by the linkages and solidarity created and gained during the struggle for the liberation of African countries that had been colonized. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to put into context the colonial master's perspective of Africa and the iconic nature of Mbuya Nehanda's resistance to colonialism, I wish to quote from Lord Macaulay's address to the British Parliament on 2nd February 1935, where he said, and I quote, "I have traveled across the length and breadth of Africa, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber, that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is a spiritual and cultural heritage. And therefore I propose that we replace an old and ancient education system, a culture, for if the Africans think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem. Their native culture, they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation, unquote. The unveiling, Your Excellency, of this monument today will inform Zimbabwe and Africa of the past, the present, and future. This should give us the zeal and strength never to go back to colonial bondage or slide into neo-colonialism again. Distinguished guests, our guest of honor is a leader who spent most of his lifetime in the struggle for liberation and in the service of his country post-independence. He is at the helm of the Second Republic that has stabilized the macroeconomic situation of the country, and through the National Development Strategy 1, aims to achieve a vision of an empowered upper middle income economy by 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, it is now my simple honor and privilege to introduce to you our guest of honor, who is none other than the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, His Excellency Comrade Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Your Excellency, sir, may it please you to note that there is a book on Nehanda Nyakasikana titled The Ultimate Sacrifice, First Edition, edited by Mnyarazi Arias Huni, with contributions from Bafo Ankoma, Dr. Munyaradzi Nyakudya, and Tapiwa Levson Gopo. This is a befitting tribute to the iconic heroine. The book traces the iconic resistance against colonial rule. The authors are standing by to present the book to you, sir. Your Excellency, sir, after the presentation of the book, I will humbly invite you to unveil and tour the national monument and thereafter address the gathering and the nation at large. Your Excellency.
Shumba Murambi, huku iri, huku ratakanyora isuende chihwa. Shumba Murambi, Shumba Murambi, isuana wezimbabwe, vana venyu, namai, First Lady, amai Mnangagwa, First Vice President, vedu, General Chiwenga. Zikuya pano, buku iri Shumba, dedication yenyu. Makasaruka, mukaputisa station Mbuya Nehanda. Muchirangarira nekuyeuka vakatanga chimurenga chekuzimbabwe kusunungura nyika. Buku iri iyi history yatakanyora tasarudza taona kuti this noble cause yamaita inoda kutsigirwa. Tinovimba kuti ichava chimwe chenational project inotsigira zvirongwa zvese zvamuinazvo zvekurangarira vakaenda navakuru vakatibvira hondo vakatipa rutsunguro tinaro nayo. Nebhuku iri ndoratikupa izvi.
Ndinotenda machinda nebhuku ramakanyora iri. Ndakaratidzwa madeko navachiwenga. Ndikaona kuti papeji 134 yebhuku irori pana teteguru wangu vakarwa hondo nevarombo panyaya Alan Wilson. Andifadza. Tinotenda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice President, and thank you very much for the gift of the book. His Excellency the President will now proceed to unveil a plaque, after which he gets up to the center of the bridge for the unveiling of the Mbuya Nehanda statue. To accompany him on that program will be the Honorable Vice President General Retired Dr. C.G.D.N. Chiwenga, Vice President and Second Secretary of the ruling party, ZANU-PF, Honorable KCD Mohadi, Minister of Defense and War Veterans Affairs and Chairman of the ruling party, Honorable OCZ Chinguri Gashiri, Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable Kazembe Kazembe, Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Honorable J.P. Moyo, Mr. G. Mutasa, the Scouter of Mbuya Nehanda State, and Mr. Maju and Wendy, the contractor. The space is very limited. The others will be able to get there later.
Chiburenga Sobadi mwana wepo agamba shibira Mikaelu yakauya ni Chiburenga Sobadi mwana wepo agamba shibira Kukudubura uchoki wekuchijirirwa Wanajanga yimba fumo kuchisa uya makidi Kukudubura uchoki wekuchijirirwa Wanajanga yimba fumo kuchisa uya makidi Mbuya Nehanda chabinuka sekuru kakui Mbuya Nehanda chabinuka sekuru kakui Mondoro uru tenyika ino Sakatisikira kuti tikunde pachimurenga Mondoro uru tenyika ino Sakatisikira kuti tikunde pachimurenga Aichamina tirokulemekeza Aichamina tirokulemekeza Vachitepo vakasununguranyika Vachitepo vakasununguranyika Una tinotenda magamba iwe Ruder oh ngaziremekezwe 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 Ona tinotenda vabereki Ruder oh ngaziremekezwe Ona tinotenda vabereki Ruder oh ngaziremekezwe
His Excellency the President is now unveiling the statue. The Mbuya Nehanda statue has now been unveiled for everyone to see. Mururudo Murizo.
The national monument in honor of Mbuya Nehanda was officially unveiled by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa on the 25th of May 2021. This site is protected by the National Museums and Monuments Act, Chapter 25:11. Please treat it with respect. Tinotenda.
Your Excellency, we will now have entertainment. We will have Mbuya Nehanda sing for us. Thank you.
Yo
Tinotenda Mbuya Stella Chiweshe nemumhanzi wakadzama. Ngatiroye maoko zvekare.
Your Excellency, sir, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, it is now time for our guest of honor, who has already been introduced by the Honorable Vice President, General Retired Chiwenga. Your Excellency, sir.
May we be seated. Our Director of Ceremonies, Permanent Secretary Nepera. The First Lady, Mnangagwa, the descendants and family of the late Mbuya Nehanda Nyagasikana, Honorable Vice President and Minister of Health and Child Care, General Retired Dr. C.G.D.N. Chiwenga, Vice President and Second Secretary of ZANU-PF, Colonel Retired Comrade K.C.D. Mohadi, Minister of Defense and War Veterans Affairs, and Chairman of ZANU-PF, Honorable O.C.Z. Mchinguri, the Minister of State for Harare Metropolitan Province, Honorable Senator Engineer Chidao, the Minister for Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable Kazembe, Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Honorable July Moyo. We are also graced by the presence of the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Minister Naledi Pandey. Minister of Youth, Sport, Arts and Recreation, Honorable Dr. Keith Coventry. Minister of Environment, Tourism and Hospitality Industries, Honorable Ndlovu. Minister of Transport and National Infrastructure Development, Honorable Felix Mona. Other ministers who are present, members of the Politburo who are here, members of Pollard who are principals of political parties who are here, members of the Central Committee of the ruling party who are here, madzimambo edu batipa mnyengetero na madzimambo ose vauya kuzova nesu pazuva ranhasi, ndinokuremekedzai. Our service chiefs, led by General TV Swanda, veterans of the liberation struggle, senior government officials, mhuri yeZimbabwe yose iri pano neri kumativi mana enyika yedu yeZimbabwe, ndinokuremekedzai. Comrades and friends, we are gathered here today at this historic site to witness the unveiling of the statue and monument of our iconic and legendary national heroine, Mbuya Nehanda Nyagaskana. This befitting immortalization was long overdue. It is most opportune that this event is appropriately blended with the commemorations of Africa Day and occurring during the Culture Week on our continent. It is on this important day that we honor our founding fathers and the many sons and daughters of Africa who pioneered the liberation, emancipation, development, and prosperity of our mother continent, Africa. It is indeed a time to also galvanize collective action towards the achievement of the vision and aspirations outlined in the African Union Constitutive Act and Agenda 2063. On behalf of the government and people of Zimbabwe, and indeed on my own behalf, I congratulate fellow member states of the African Union and people of Africa for the remarkable achievements made over the last 58 years since the founding of our august continental body. The pledges made by Africa's founding fathers in 1963 must persistently inspire us towards a shared prosperity and well-being, for unity and integration, for a continent of free citizens and expanded horizons, where the potential of all our people, in particular our women, our youth, and the disabled, are realized. It is also important that we work harder for peace and a continent free from all forms of neo-colonialism. Let no one ever divide us or patronize us in a manner or fashion against our vision. We are a proud African people, a continent that has awakened and rising towards a brighter and prosperous future. Allow me to take this opportunity of this occasion to commend the African Union through the Africa Center for Disease Control for the flagship programs and interventions to strengthen public health capacities with regards to the continent's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and other disease threats. The power of unity and togetherness for the alleviation of the high disease burden of communicable and non-communicable diseases remains our responsibility. Zimbabwe's parliament will soon be ratifying the treaty establishing the African Medicines Agency as a specialized agency of the African Union. This agency will undoubtedly enhance collaboration and contribute to the access of quality and safe medical products and health technologies by the people of our continent. Distinguished guests, comrades and friends, the African Union theme for the year, and I quote, the arts, culture and heritage, levers for building the Africa we want, is most welcome and provides a suitable backdrop upon which this historic ceremony is being held. Following the advent of the Second Republic here in Zimbabwe, my government made a conscious and deliberate decision to recognize, honor, memorialize, and immortalize our heroes and heroines of the struggle. The unveiling of the statue of Mbuya Nehanda is the manifestation of the bold commitment to reconstruct our country's rich past and our history. It equally stands as a symbol of unity, identity, and an inspiration to present and future generations on the importance of unflinching patriotism, loyalty, fortitude, and determination to defend and work for our beloved country against any odds on this planet. In the same vein, my government resolved to revisit the monuments, battle sites, and restriction and detention camps. We are determined to ensure that the narratives of our nation are presented in the correct historical perspective. In this regard, I exhort national institutions, communities, the education fraternity and media, as well as political parties and the youth, to play their part in correcting and popularizing the rich history of our beloved country. The towering Mbuya Nehanda statue we are gathered here to unveil is a reflection and embodiment of the heroic people of our country from Zambezi to Limpopo, from Plum Tree to Mtare, who confronted colonial aggression and paid the supreme sacrifice for the freedom we enjoy today. This statue is thus a bold and unapologetic movement and statement of the fact that we are a people who know who we are and the way we come from and the way we intend to go. It is a declaration that we stand proud of our history and our identity. As such, the warrior spirit of Mbuya Nehanda and other iconic heroes and heroines should motivate us to fully utilize our God-given resources to build the Zimbabwe we all want through hard and honest work. The culture of resilience ingrained in the people of this great country should see us modernize, industrialize, and grow our economy for the betterment of all, brick upon brick, stone upon stone. This monument that has been mounted here further tells a story from the viewpoint of the legendary heroine of Zimbabwe, who courageously led a spirited resistance against colonial rule. She was hunted down, arrested, and hanged by the settlers. Her legacy will indeed endure for posterity. We shall, however, continue to discuss, to bring back her skull, which was taken to the United Kingdom, along others. In her heroic defiance to the brutal hanging, she declared, "Mafupa angu achamuka, my bones shall rise." And they have risen. Present and future generations must correctly conceptualize that emphatic declaration by Mbuya Nehanda. The defense of our country's independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the dignity of our people must be vigilantly pursued. In charting our future, it is imperative that we know our past in order to chart our future with wisdom. Comrades and friends, my administration deliberately chose this site to place the statue and the museum of our national heroine Mbuya Nehanda Nyakasikana. It is in this vicinity that there were springs from which she would drink water and rest. Mukavona pane miti yakachengetwa apa, pane kereke iripo, chechi iripo iyo. Makarekare Nehanda vachirwa navavuyi vasina mabvi, ndopavauya papa pane tsime ravo nomuti wavaigara pamvuri vachimwa mvura. Vavauraya, varungu vakauya vakafutsira, vakavhara tsime iroro, vakavaka kereke pamusoro, vachitatsipika tsika dzenyika yeZimbabwe. nhasi mafubava muka tavaka mufananidzo wavo pano pavaimwa mvura. About 123 years ago, on 27th April 1898, Mbuya Nehanda Nyakasikana was hanged by the settler regime. The nation thus reflects upon her heroics in resisting colonial occupation and subjugation of the indigenous people of this country by the British. Through the British South African Company, Zimbabwe was turned into a colony, an extension yamambokadza kuEngland. The British settler colonialists, with their unbridled appetite to dominate, adopted unorthodox and inhuman measures to subjugate the people of this country. This is so the genesis of the Anglo-Ndebele War in general and the Shangani Battle of 3 and 4 December 1893 in particular, as well as several battles of the 1896 to 1897 uprisings in this country. The colonization of this great country was a bloody and a brutal conflict that resulted in the indiscriminate loss of lives and property. The aftermath of the 1893 to 1894 Anglo-Ndebele War witnessed the introduction of the hard tax by settlers. This undermined and strangulated the freedom of the Africans and the authority of our forefathers. The situation was further exacerbated by the introduction of forced labor, chibaro, the vicious and often barbaric acts by the British South Africa Company, the BSAP. This embedded grievances and galvanized resistance against the settlers, mounted on the guidance of heroes and such as Mbuya Nehanda Nyakasikana, Sekuru Kagubi, Mukwati, Siginyamache, Umulungulu, and the Queen Lozikei from Matebeleland. The good fight for freedom and liberation by our forefathers was made by escalated settler impunity and brutality, as evidenced by the mass hangings. Our own iconic national heroine Mbuya Nehanda was a victim of such settler savagery. Comrades and friends, a people without knowledge of their past history and origin are like trees without roots. Under the Second Republic, the journey of portraying our true history and heritage through the correct glorification of our people has begun. No one will stop it. This is the factual history, and we are setting the record straight. As we do so, the determination to tell our own story from our own perspectives emboldens and encourages us to go on. I exhort players in the research and the literary ecosystem, creative arts and the culture industry to forge partnerships that amplify the development of an African grounded body of knowledge, literary works, and artistic impressions which are African. On its part, my government remains committed to the construction, promotion, and preservation of the acts of heroism, bravery, and the warrior spirit of the heroes and heroines of the first and second Chimurenga. By the same token, acts of patriotism, loyalty, selfless service, and hard work by the people of our great country across all sectors will be recognized and celebrated. As we journey towards Vision 2030, and in line with the devolution agenda and the National Tourism Recovery and Growth Strategy, provinces, districts, and communities must drive economic value from the ongoing initiatives to preserve the history, our culture, and heritage of our country. The presence of this monument here in Harare, along with the Museum of African Liberation, will have a far-reaching impact on tourism in this province. Hence, the local authority is challenged to reimagine the ambience of this city, informed by the ongoing quest to modernize both our rural and urban environs. Stakeholders in the culture and the creative cultural industry in particular are urged to be innovative and develop contemporary mediums of telling our revolutionary past and also popularizing the new socio-economic development epoch the nation has entered under the Second Republic. Finally, my countrymen and women, I once again express my profound gratitude to the descendants and family of Mbuya Nehanda, Nyakaskana, the National Museum and Monuments, and the creative culture industry, as well as the contractor, among other stakeholders, for this historic milestone. The unity and the professionalism and a singleness of purpose that characterize the successful implementation of this monumental project is applauded. We are proud as Zimbabweans. Before I conclude, I wish to inform our nation that today, this morning, we received a delegation from my brother and colleague, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, a delegation led by his Foreign Minister, Honorable Minister Naledi Pandor, who has brought donation to our nation in relation to their participation during 2019 when we had the unfortunate attack by Cyclone Idai. I think you all remember that we received a lot of support from South Africa, including the South African Defense Forces coming to Chimanimani and Chipinge with the Bailey bridges, which we used to cross the rivers where our bridges had been washed away to the sea. They have come today with tons and tons, over 5,000 metric tons of food has been brought to Zimbabwe. That's why she is here. Let's give our sister republic another pam-pam. I now exhort the Harare City Council and the public as a whole to preserve and safeguard this national strategic asset. I know it's so beautiful. There's a possibility that many young men and girls would want to find themselves here, walking hand in hand. That's not the purpose. I appeal to all Zimbabweans across the nation to respect this monument. With these remarks, it is now my honor and privilege to declare that Mbuya Nehanda Nyakasikana statute and the national monument has been officially unveiled. Long live the revolutionary spirit of Zimbabwe. Long live our independence and freedom. Long live our African unity. God bless you all. God bless Zimbabwe. Ndatenda.
Another big round of applause. Tinotenda Your Excellency nemanzwi anotivaka anotitiita kuti tidade nenyika yedu. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, allow me to invite a young girl who is in grade 6 at a school called Shapinduka Primary School in Bohera to give us a poem entitled Ndinokutendai. Lynette Munzeda, you have the floor. Thank you.
Pamsoro imose makatera. Nasi musimukuru, ndinoda ndikupeiwo chikwaturo, detembo, godzamoyo, nentangariro, rinonzi, ndinokutendai. Ichokwadi, iditsairo, apa ndipo pavakabaya dede nomukanwa. Vakanga vazviona zvokunaka kwechakanaka ndokushaya muromo pashure ndokuti chakanaka muganga urudununu ndinokutenda. Kunaka kwemvura ini ndinokuziva haungarimikiri kadyika mvura pasina verukanda rwemvura kumenyukira uko imvura izvi zviri pachena kunge mhuno jena guru chairo kukosha kwemvura mune yenyu matututu kuzere pamarova nyati raingove sango kareko vaitambura vana vevanhu ntangariro neshungu zvichiita kupirikishana pokuiwana mvura raive dambudziko remwoyo zvipfuyo chaizvo zvikara zvesango nyanyo zvaiita kurezurwa nenyota. His Excellency Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa mukurongeka pamwe chete navana mazvikokota nhititi vakaisa musoro pamwe ndokutiparirira tinochirongwa kudzikamisa nokusimudzira zvizvarwa zvemuno muZimbabwe. Vakanga vazviona kuti mvura inokosha, vakanga vazviona kuti mvura kumberi ichokwadi, simba rehove riri mumvura, ndizvo neromurimi riri mumvura. Haiwa zvatinakira mururu nemuridza uko. Apa kwaingova kukuruma inzeve. Mukuru wenyika vakashanda nevarimi benguva, zvirongwa nezvirongwa zvichiparurwa, mbeu dzichipirwa pachena, zvidzidzo nezvidzidzo, pfungudza nhasi iri kupisa, mbeu ichitevera pachena. Ndinokutenda. Basa pano rinonongedza muiti achinongedza raakaita basa. Idi kutenda kwakiti kuri mumwoyo. His Excellency Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa, tinokupai sando dzenyu kusimudzira zvinyika zvine mutindo penyu masi tadzwa mupfu hetinoitisvabe kuzvishandira kuzvishandura zvava kwamuri kufuga kana kuwarira tiri mumusakasaka tinozvinzwira varudzidzi vaiona sokufira mafufu segonzo nyamba kudondomwena zviuya zviri mberi vekwatangwena chipodzana kwarire nyashanu heyo mvura iyo hero dhamu iro heyano madiridziro ayo heyo budiriro iyo nzara pakadai yapera kukohwa mvura kukohwa upfumi chikonzero kurima kunoda mvura zvipfuyo zvirimwa vanhu nezvimwewo zvipukanana zvesango ndaramo yazvo inobva pamvura utupu hwemvura pamarovanyati tarisiro ndipo patava padziko dura chairo remvura muzvirongwa zvose zvinoti mvura mukuru wenyika kutivhurira mikana yemadiridziro kutitendera tirime patinodira sezvatinoda nguva dzose pachena madiridziro mumanagidhi muzongo zvavo zvose kusimudzira nyika yedu yezimbabwe mukurima kuri kwose zvako pamarovanyati tonyutumiswa nemafaro mukurongwa kwazvo vamwe vaiti tinotenda dzamwa ino zvadzamwa nhasi vasatiregai tione kunowira tsvimbo nedori inyasha guwa kuperekedza wanyimwa heunomukana werakajeka ramangwana tapinda mushuviro dzemwoyo timhanyidzane varimi mukurima upfumi huri muvhu nemo yezviizvi zvatinakira kushandukira maguta kushandukira budiriro mumana mupona zvinake mukwasha wenyuchi mukaka pakadai haurumbi munhu ndinokutenda kuvarimi zvinhu zviedzwa tembere yekwachiri yakabika mabwe ndokunwa muto nokuti matanda mazungunuswa unosiya nerakaorera nyamba kare yakana nyama kuona munyungwarirai nokuti musazeyeuka bakomanaiwa saka tiri pano semurau wemafaro tichadya nokunwa kutatajura nokutatajura kunyanduka nokunyanduka pachena ndiko kupura nyemba nomusana kupomponoka kurununuka kutandavara mune yedu zimbabwe izere nerusununguko garwe riri tsi iwe woshora usatenda pakadai uroi ndatenda ndinodzi Mbuya kwachapanduka primary mukuru wechikoro vamashangana kubuyera district.
Thank you, Laizet. Waita hako tinotenda nedetembo rako rakadzama zvikuru. Thank you very much. Another round of applause. Your Excellency, allow me to invite the Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable Kazembe Kazembe, to present a gift on behalf of the Ministry of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage through the National Museums and Monuments of Zimbabwe. Honorable Minister, sir.
Your Excellency, kumbirawo kutambidzei chipo manzwa musikana wechitika achiti ndatenda nesiwo tatenda. Your Excellency, chipo chabva kudepartment redu rinoona nezvebasa ratakaunganira pano kwaDr. Mahachi. chinokwanisa kuvhurwa ichocho. Mufananidzo wa Mbuya Nehanda. Nokutenda Your Excellency. Mazvita yenyu Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for representing us as a ministry. Thank you also, Your Excellency, for accepting our gift. Let me again request you, Your Excellency, to allow me to invite the Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Honorable J.G. Moyo, to deliver a vote of thanks.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa. Your Excellency, the First Lady, Amai Auxilia Mnangagwa. Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Minister of Health and Child Care, Second Secretary of ZANU-PF, and retired General C.D.G.N. Chiwenga, Deputy President and Second Secretary of ZANU-PF, Comrade K.C.D. Mohadi, members the Politburo Ziripano, fellow cabinet ministers, Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution for Harare Province, all protocol observed. Ndasimukira kutenda basa raitwa pano na presidenti, basa raitwa pano noruzhinji rweZimbabwe. President makatitungamirira, your vision, your determination and your guidance gave us the courage to work until this morning. Everything that you see in this place was finished this morning. Vice President vamakatipa kuti vati supervise sokutaura kwaita Minister Kazembe Kazembe. Vano supervise vari passport. Nezuro takambotiraya kuti garai ikoko hazviri kufamba. Ukaindigonovata sei ndisina kuvona. Kudotiraya kuinda ikoko kuoffice kuti chef garai kukaichifamba imberi ini totevera. So tinoda kumutendai President Supervisor wamakatipa Vice President kuti tiite basa rino, tinoda kuvatenda. Vakaramba vanesu kusvika nhasi. President pakuita basa iri vese kana vana Mutasa vaiti kana vakangofunga imwe vaishanda nousiku nousiku kuti kwanzi kuti ndidzokere kunoonekwa naPresident vachindibvunza kuti haringaperi handidi. Saka tinoda kumutendai noutungamiri hwenyu. Toda kutenda hurumende yenyu yakashanda pamwe chete, total government iri pacentral, maministries akawanda handichaadomi. Province yeHarare yakatungamirwa na Minister of State, Harare City Council. Vamanga muchiona payapa, vamwe madzimai navarume mazuva matatu mana akapfuura taidoita setichatumira shoko kudzimba dzavo kuti haya havauyi, vanovata pano nemhaka yekuti president vakati panofana kupera musi wa25. Ndoda kutenda vese ivavo, hurumende yose iyoyo. President mangovona vana vakashanda pano, pakaitiwa kuti ndiani unohwina pama architects edu, wakahwina vakakompita for 4 days, vese vari vechidiki, asi wakahwina ndiye wamaona achitaura kufunga kwake nevision yake yaakamupa, imwi mukabvuma kuti aiwa indai munovaka. Asi hatina kuziva kuti chiri complicated. Takangozviona vanhu vawanda, macompanies akazoguma achivaka pano akatungamirwa na main contractor veCSRG, vakati wandeu veCSRG vana manager wamaona Majuru na Mboweni uri engineer, vana vadiki. Vaiti ukazvifunga womboti chichapera here navana vadiki vava. Vakawisa vamwe veSwazi granite, ndo vakagadzira magranite etinoona, vanga vari vadiki futi. Wanga achingova mukuru paproject iyo ndi Mutasa chete. Ndofunga nenivo ndaiva nebvudzi rakaita serake. Vamwe vese vaingova vadiki. VeTetrafone Enterprises vakatungamirwa naMasaraure, ndiye wanga ari operation director wanga ari pano. VeKinetic Engineering and Equipment ndo vakagadzira rotating machine. Iko zvino vanhu vari kuona kuti Mbuya vari kufamba, vatarisa kwavo, mangwana munowana vatarisawo kwangu. Saka ivevo Mabvuri engineer voyo ndiye vakagadzira ichocho chinorotata. Tinovatenda vese vana ivava. Takazovinga veESA vanotungamirwa na Emmanuel Chimedza, ari project director ikoko. Ivo ndio vakavata vari pano. Nezuro pakasvika vice president, nokuti vaisvika gwakawanda, vakambotarisa iyo wing inoenda kuna Julius Nyerere, kana neniwo ndaambofunga kuti haiperi, asi vakapedza ivo veESA. Toda kuvatenda. VeELAC Engineering ndo vakaisa simbi dzese idzi dzamabaluskrading, vakatungamirwa naMashango ndiye director. Tinoda kuvatenda. Vanhu vese vendinotaura ava ndo muno muZimbabwe, except iva vakazotiitira vePile Africa, ndo vakatiisira dzisimbi idzi dzakazouya kuno. Your Excellency, ndoda kutenda kubatana kwakaita vanhu kuti chinhu chifambe ichi, kuti tisvike nhasi tichipe kuMinistry of Home Affairs kuti ivo vagoshanda neve ava vava padhuze veZimbabwe Tourism, vokuMinistry of Environment vagoshanda nevokuMinistry of Transport, nokuti panapa kuti parambe payangonaka, vokuMinistry of Transport vanofanira kuramba vachishanda neCity Council kuti mugwagwa ndowavo. Toda kutenda vese vacharamba vakachengetesa pano apa, madzimambo edu vauya nouwandu hwavo. Toda kuvatenda nomunamato, vamachechi vauya pano vakanamata. Toda kuvatenda varambe vachinamata nyangwe kwavane vari, kuti mucherechedzo wamagadzira uyu president urambe uri mucherechedzo uchaita kuti vanhu veZimbabwe vadade nebasa ramaita pano. Ndoda kumutendai tichipedzisira kuti haiwa zvaonekwa zvaitwa tose hatipururudzirei chinhu chedu chatava nacho. Ndinotenda.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Your Excellency, we will now have a group, a Mbuya group called Mbuya Sasha, to play a song called Mbuya Nehanda Kufawa Chitaura. Mbuya Sasha, you have the floor.
Shua